Hi everyone, my name's Pieta Valentine. I've written 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. Today's session is on the ascent of art in a dementia unit. Now, art is actually really important in a dementia facility. It creates beauty, it creates context, it creates uplifting emotions. And I noticed at the unit I worked at, when they put up beautiful pictures all along the corridors of the facility on, elephants from Africa and Mediterranean scenes with that, azure sea and those little white stone huts overlooking the Mediterranean. Beautiful pictures and lovely big frames. The residents really appreciated it, and they'd walk along and stand in front of the picture and have a little look and go along to the next picture, sometimes make a comment, but it created a lovely, attractive, ambient, uplifting atmosphere and vibe to the place once the colour, and dynamic aspects of those pictures came into being, rather than, cold, white, sterile, hospital-looking corridors with, white doors and white walls and little to distinguish it. So that's in the general facility. Art is a great asset. In terms of art with the residents, if you have if there is a activities coordinator or diversional therapist who does the artwork with the residents, like make and create, and she's artistic, it's such a big boon for a facility. And take note of that and appreciate that. If the facility where your mother is at has an activities coordinator who really knows how to work with art and create beautiful things and encourage the residents to create beautiful things, that is fantastic, because it helps cognition, concentration, coordination, and all those marvelous things that get the thinking going. So we want that in a very big way. I'll just make a note here that most residents enjoy the make and create session, especially the women, who of course, majority are women in dementia facilities, often in their mid-80s, early 90s, the majority also having Alzheimer's. Men don't enjoy the make and create as much. It's more, some of them join in, but really they need more men-shed type activities. But for the women, this artistic make and create is fantastic. Now, in terms of the ascent of art, this was quite an astounding situation, definitely the exception to the rule, but I'd like to explain it to you that it can happen. One resident at the facility, she had been I think, intermediate school teacher. So the children that she taught were about 13 and 14. And she was incredibly artistic and a fantastic reader, always reading. Every minute of the day she'd be reading something, and she had a great personality. When she came in, she was drawing, and she had these on her walls, pictures of like a rooster, flowers from the garden, cottage scenes, artistically designed and well done. They were well done, but they were more at the simplistic end of art rather than the sort of complex, nuanced end. And when she'd been doing this for some time, and then what she started to do, which was really interesting, was she used to say, "I love nothing more than sitting down with my pen and paper and drawing other people." Yeah, and you could see her get into that zone when she had her backing board, her paper and her pencil, or colouring in pencils or felts. Usually it was crayons she used, like watercolour type crayons. And she'd sit there, she'd observe the residents, and she started drawing these most magnificent feature article type, front page article type drawings of the residents. Often say 3 men, say, in a group having their cup of coffee. And you could recognise the residents. They were actually true-to-life portraits. It was unbelievable. And she just kept, up this skill. And in the end, if you can believe it, relatives were coming to get their portrait done of her so that they could take it home to frame it in their, homes. She actually became a true blue ascending artist at the unit. Now, this is incredible on so many levels, isn't it? I mean, to be able to achieve this when you're, early 90s, without dementia is a tremendous feat, but to be able to do this with dementia is remarkable. Verging on miraculous, some would say. But, everyone was witness to it, and the staff would put all the pictures. I mean, it was a whole wall of pictures by now. I don't know, 30, 40 pictures of, art installations she had done, portraits, that's it. 30, 40, 50 of these wonderful portraits on her wall. I mean, it was a museum, an art gallery by now. And of course she loved it, didn't she? Surrounded by all her marvellous art. And people would come and visit. Relatives and staff would come and visit the room, and she'd take them round, all her wonderful art. So, progress, cognitive progress can actually happen in a dementia unit. It's not all about decline. I mean, physical decline, of course, when we get older, we decline. I mean, we can't help that, can we? Joints deteriorate and heart failure comes in and cancer, or we don't like, nobody wants that. Well, nobody wants any of these conditions, actually. But age will bring with it, cardiovascular problems and such like. And memory problems, of course. I mean, it's all about memory problems, isn't it, in a dementia unit? But, excuse me, cognition itself, don't expect that it will automatically deteriorate along with everything else, because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it picks up. There was a few cases at the unit where daughters would come to me and say, Mum's, remembering names a lot better than what she used to. And she's talking, well, maybe not that as much. There were a couple of examples of that, but there were many examples of daughters coming to me and saying, Mum's talking a lot better than she used to. Definitely, she's talking, she wasn't talking like this at home, but now that she's amongst people and others are communicating and she's part of the community, her speech is so much better, and it's wonderful being able to communicate with her. That happened on many occasions. So that's cognition, isn't it? Communication. So encourage, not to think of it all as doom and gloom and that automatically cognition's going to go down. It doesn't necessarily, especially if that person is engaged and thinking and interacting and reading and part of the community and observing and all the things that we've been discussing. If they're doing that and you can see them picking up, that's good. That means they're picking up. That means their cognition's improving. So encourage that, support that, anything you can do to pick that up, to help your mother engage more and participate more will automatically improve her quality of life, because happiness comes, doesn't it, from thinking and artwork and engaging, and any activity that's positive and enjoyable will make us happy. Happiness being the spice of life and all that, which we want to encourage and have for our loved ones and indeed ourselves, by the way. And so when you as a daughter or relative sees that your mother is happy and progressing with some activity, it will improve your happiness, won't it? You'll have happiness for her. And in that way it can be shared around, and a little dementia facility can become quite sparked with all these little things going on, which is what it's all about. So the ascent of art and how that can help in a dementia unit, it can bring fun and flavour and entertainment, as that little art gallery of this lady did. It was quite a showpiece of the whole village. And yes, people would come over from the village to see her art. Even though there was a stigma of dementia, they would override that to come and see her beautiful little art gallery and see what could be done. So that was an amazing instance which I wanted to share, and I'm sure it can happen, and probably and will be happening for others out there too who are watching this channel to a certain extent. So encourage that. Thank you for the subscriptions and likes and views. Thank you.